what I've done is just picked a section from each of those paragraphs just for you to think about. And I tried to explain, as Father Joseph said last week, just to explain a bit about our life, and maybe there's some relevance to the passage that I've picked, but that's the basic idea, to relate the ideas to the Benedict tradition in our Bernardine life. The prologue of the Rule of St. Benedict offers the following invitation: seek after peace and pursue it. And when you have done these things, my eyes shall be upon you, and my ears open to your prayers. And before you call upon me, I will say to you, behold, here I am. What can be sweeter to us, dear ones, than this voice of the Lord inviting us? Behold, in his loving kindness, the Lord shows us the way of life. The name of our monastery, Our Lady of Heining, is actually an ancient Norse word. It means a small field or enclosure. One could say that for the guests and for the community, Heining is an enclosure where they find peace, prayer, and strength to continue with their faith journey when they move back out of the enclosure to their everyday lives. The word is particularly important for our community, as we are members of an enclosed religious community, the Bernardine Cistercians. And perhaps it's good at times to reflect upon the enclosures, the places, the spaces where we and you can find rest. We live in a community with 9 sisters, and we come from a diverse range of backgrounds, from 38 to 99. And we work, pray and live together 24/7, 365 days a year. 5 times a day we pray the Divine Office, and we eat, live and work mainly in silence for the most part of the day, though sometimes that's not very easy to keep to. But we share the joys and sorrows, the tears and laughter, and the heartache and hopes of all those who come to find peace in their busy world. We open our monastery to all who come, and as St. Benedict says in his rule, all are received in the name of Christ. And perhaps the important thing to think about is that who do we receive in the name of Christ, and who do we reject without realizing that we're rejecting Christ? The most important thing we can learn in community is to accept the weaknesses of others and the forgiveness offered when we hurt each other. It is mercy, not judgment, that brings lasting peace. If we can find peace in our life, we offer that peace to our guests, to those who feel outside an institutional church, those who are a different tradition, those who have no faith, those who are struggling with restlessness that St. Augustine would recognize as a searching for the one thing that really matters, God. So who are the people you welcome in your lives? And perhaps more importantly, who are the people you exclude? We find that the guests who come want a simple message, something they can understand and relate to, which is why I picked this one from paragraph 35. And one of the most important things we have to share is our prayer. And we do this in 2 ways. We sing the Divine Office, but we also spend time in prayer in Lectio or spiritual reading for over an hour a day. We encourage our guests to share in the beauty of our office. It's not a perfect performance, but we try to be heartfelt in our service of prayer. We welcome all the guests, whether they can sing or not. But one of the things we hope we can show to the guests is that we sing choir by choir. One side listens and the other responds. We learn and we listen to support each other, even if we don't get it right all the time. And I find this listening skill is something we all need to remember perhaps in our world today. Because if we don't listen to each other, we end up hurting each other and destroying each other, as we can see very much in the Middle East and many parts of the world today. If we learn to listen, it can heal the wounds that pride inflicts upon us, and lead to a healing of the spiritual deafness that afflicts our world today. Listening can be a source of peace for those who offer up their own intentions with ours and those of the world. By listening with a depth and truth, it's much more forceful and convincing, as the paragraph says. Because in our lectio, in our lives, we do not seek to be informed by the text we read, but to be conformed in order to be transformed by the word of Christ and the writings of the Church. The crucifix I've put there is the one we use on Good Friday, because one of the things we want to share with our guests is the beauty of the death and resurrection of Christ, which again is why I chose this quote. And we try to do that by sharing our message, by offering retreats, offering opportunities for people to come in silence. So we have retreats for Advent, Lent, Paschal Triduum. We also try and find ways of making it more relevant in today's world by offering prayer and gardening, icon workshops, spiritual scrapbooking, and we've even had a prayer and Pilates retreats. And it's important that people can find ways of sharing the gospel and the resurrection in different ways, I think, today. So it's one way we try and share with people. Most of all, though, we want them to listen and to be with us. But I think it's important to for me, one of the important virtues as a Benedictine in our Benedict tradition is the idea of it's not just in the official teaching of the Church, not just in the Bible, it's also beyond that. We have a beautiful surroundings, Jane, who's been will be able to tell you that we're in an area of outstanding natural beauty. We've got 14 acres of land, and I found this quote from St. Bernard: "You will find something greater in woods than in books. Trees and stones will teach you with that which you can never learn from your masters." Perhaps when we're wrapped up in academic mindsets, or when we're focused on the academic and the theological truths that we need to learn, we also need to remember that there are more simple pleasures in life that can help people find God. And perhaps a more effective form of preaching is in the beauty of creation. And then from one of the last paragraphs, before or else, the gospel invites us to respond to the God of love who saves us, see God in others, and to go forth from ourselves to seek the good of others. I've just put some pictures of people who've been in the last month to visit us, because it's important that we search for God, and in community, it's keeping with the desire of St. Benedict that our search for God is lived out. Guests of all faith traditions and none are indeed welcome here. And in a world where Christians are persecuted daily, we find we are stronger together than apart. The divisions of the past can be healed by mutual help and support in prayer, in liturgy, in study, and in simple sharing. Sometimes we have guests who come for a deeper connection with the community, and one way we explore this in recent years is inviting people to become oblates who have a more deeper spiritual connection with us. But the important thing is that we see whoever the guests we have, sometimes we have some very difficult and demanding guests, that we learn to see the good in others, and we also see the good in ourselves and the community. I just wanted to end with a picture of our chapel at night. It's when we sing the Salve Regina. Every night we turn to the Salve candle and the icon, which is Michaela, one of the sisters wrote, and we sing the Salve Regina. We just leave one light on in chapel to highlight the icon in the corner. And for me, even when the darkness of the world seems overwhelming, that one light in the corner for me is a symbol of hope, that the darkness can never conquer the good news of the gospel.